He's not as good as we thought this year.
And the bubble has changed a lot of things.
Yes.
It is neutralized. There's no home court advantage. There's a lot going on, but everybody's playing with the same circumstances, right? So fair is fair, however you want to call it.
Right.
This is a very big deal that Giannis and the Bucks are going to get knocked in the second round. Forget that it's by the Heat. This was the year that they needed to win the championship, not lose in the second round to be down 3-0 to the Heat. So there's going to be a very interesting reaction to. I think the fact that he got hurt will maybe soften it a little bit for him.
Yeah.
But it's going to be similar to KD in Oklahoma City, where he kind of just constantly not got a pass, but we weren't as hard on him, and then eventually became, is KD going to take the next step? Right. And that's what's going to happen for Giannis. So the Celtics dominated the Raptors in Game 5 last night to put the reigning champs on the verge of elimination. Boston never trailed in the 111-89 win and had a lead as big as 30 points in the third quarter. The Celtics starters outscored the Raptors starters by a staggering 93-45. And now they have a chance to punch their ticket to the Eastern Conference Finals on Wednesday, leading the series 3-2.
Yeah.
They gave the Raptors a little bit of life with that last-second walk-off shot. They should have won that game, and then the series would have a little different look to it. I'm really kind of surprised at how the Raptors have looked in this series, though. I thought
Siakam has not played particularly well.
Yeah,
Pascal?
they've really been very. Unlike the Raptors, very up and down.
Yep.
Like they haven't had their consistent play.
Kemba Walker's been really good for Boston.
Yes, but Boston also has been great defensively, which is why they look the way that they do, and the series has gone the way it's gone. I obviously think the Celtics are going to win this series now, but it's just kind of the Raptors just looked completely un-Raptor-like. It's very dysfunctional, throwing anything up. It didn't look great last night. So finally, as the first overall pick, Joe Burrow was expected to get the starting job for the Bengals this season, obviously. But head coach Zach Taylor says Burrow didn't get the job by default. He earned it. He said, I know that he was really the start of the day he walked in the door, but he's done everything to verify that for us and earn it. He will be the only rookie quarterback to start week 1 this season.
With the worst surrounding cast, by the way. Justin Herbert and Tua have much better surrounding casts.
And they will not have to be out there. Well, so Tua, Herbert, and obviously Jordan Love. But I'm cautiously optimistic about Joe Burrow because I can't tell, and we won't ever really be able to tell until we see him play, if this is all just hype coming from the Bengals or if he really is as good as I think he was in college and going to be in the NFL. Yes. Obviously, he has the worst surrounding cast, as you mentioned. But if he can improve them even a little bit in these circumstances, I'm going to be impressed this year.
So I'll say it again. I think his NFL comp is Tony Romo. That is no criticism because I defended Tony Romo for a decade on another network. I constantly defended Tony Romo, who I think has more natural talent than Dak, not nearly as much as Troy Aikman or Roger Staubach. So I think Burrow's got some Tony Romo in him. He's a playmaker. He's a good player. He lets it rip. Can he overcome the Bengals organization? And that is not a small thing.
No.
Josh Allen, to me, has been made by his coaching staff. Josh Allen, Lamar's talented enough, he's going to win games anywhere. Josh Allen would be man overboard if you put him in Cincinnati. Josh Allen is a playoff quarterback in Buffalo with that coaching staff.
And he has great players around him, Josh Allen does.
Joy with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Lie News.
It's interesting about, I have the top of the hour, I'm going to do the Herd Hierarchy, our first of the year going into the season. So Doug Gottlieb will be joining us here eventually. So Peter King was on yesterday. There's two things. First of all, I believe when I'm a talk show host, I come on, I tell you authentically what I think. This is what I think about stuff. It's amazing to me. You go on social media, and if a conservative has a talk show, conservative has an opinion, everybody's like, he's doing that for clicks. If a liberal has an opinion, they're just woke. Has anybody ever really thought that conservatives give conservative opinions and Democrats give liberal opinions on the internet? We're not all making stuff up to make you happy. I tell you what I think. I don't troll. That's not my thing. I mean, I poke people in the ribs occasionally, but I'll give you an example. Is that Raider fans they just can't believe that I don't like them this year. And there's this narrative out there. The Raiders are going play. I think they're going to be terrible. So yesterday, Peter King came on. And I was shocked by this. Peter King has the Raiders as a playoff team. So let's play the tape here, Peter King yesterday.
The last 2 years, Mike Mayock has basically said in the draft
He said, look, I love big-time players from big-time programs. He's picked the best players out of the biggest programs, and he's done that for 2 years in a row, and I think he is gambling that the chemistry experiment they do is going to pay off. I like the Raiders. I feel the same way about Carr that everybody else does. He's kind of in prove-it mode to me.
Okay. There's 3 reasons I don't like the Raiders at all, and I think they're going to be a bad team this year. 2 of them are just a gut feeling. The third is not disputable. Number 1 is I don't think the personalities of Gruden and Derek Carr are ideal. I know John is blunt. Derek is sensitive. Number 2 is relocating teams historically struggle. Most of relocating teams ever won is 9 games. But the third is not disputable. This is a bad team last year. They were blown out 6 times last year by 18 points or more. That's a bad college outcome. They never beat a playoff team. They were 0-6 and usually blown out. Week 12 on, they scored the fewest points in the NFL. Now, I want you to think about that. Week 12 on, with John Gruden, Derek Carr, who's capable, and a bunch of rookies that popped, they scored the fewest points in the NFL. And we like that part of their team. Don't confuse interesting pieces with good football team. Go look at their schedule. This was a terrible team at the end of last year. They were getting crushed. They couldn't score. Everybody always says, I like the Raiders' offense. It's the defense I worry about. No NFL team, including Cincinnati, scored fewer points week 12 on. Look at their schedule. Their gimme is opening up at Carolina against Teddy Bridgewater and Christian McCaffrey. Then it's the Saints, it's Bill Belichick, it's the Bills, it's Patrick Mahomes, it's Tom Brady, it's the loaded Cleveland roster, it's the really talented Chargers. The games they should win, Atlanta, Jets, Carolina, they're all on the road. This is a rough schedule for a relocating team. Much, much better prospect. Andrew Luck's not even in the same galaxy. He's a good kid. Guys struggle to acknowledge they make big mistakes. Chicago, you bought a steak knife that cuts through a quarter. You don't need to cut through a quarter. You got blue tile for your kitchen. Admit you whiffed. You could have had Mahomes. There's a lot of guys you could have had Deshaun Watson. You made a mistake. Eric Mangini's thoughts on what the Bears are trying to now sell us.
This is one of those situations where it's just going from bad to worse. You don't pick up the 5th-year option. You obviously don't have a ton of faith in Trubisky, and you go in and get someone that you think you're going to bring in and is going to start and going to be an upgrade, and you've got to give away draft capital to do it. You've got to make a significant financial commitment to do it, and then he can't win the job. And there they are. They're stuck with 2 guys that the whole not just this coaching staff and the organization, but the whole team knows there's no enthusiasm for.
You cannot fool the players. You whiffed. Own it. Move on. Joy Taylor with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
That is absolutely a man thing.
So you guys can just own it.
Oh, we love to return stuff to the store. Didn't like it. Take it back. No, thank you.
Not me.
Return that. I got a couch like 9 months ago. It was in the house for 2 days. I called him. I don't want this thing. Get it out of here. I am not committing to anything that is not going to work.
I don't like to admit when I make a big mistake.
It's fine. I mean, why would you live with the mistake instead of getting rid of the mistake?
Because I just don't make a lot of mistakes, and I did not make a mistake with that knife.
It is definitely a man thing. So the Bucks were able to hang on and avoid the sweep in Game 4, even after Giannis left with an ankle sprain. He is listed as questionable for Game 5 today. He's reportedly feeling much better than he did, similar to that he did going into Game 4 after his first ankle injury. And after Monday's practice, Mike Budenholzer said Giannis was getting treatment around the clock and is going to try and be available to play. They beat the Heat 118-115 in overtime on Sunday night, which I got to watch from Miami since I was stuck there. But that was because of Chris Middleton. He had 36 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists. Did what the number 2 guy is supposed to do in that spot.
He was great. But
he was great. A little bit too little, too late.
Ask yourself this. If I'd have told you before this series that the MVP gets hurt, and it's not really the story of the series. The story of the series is Miami has shut down Giannis.
Yes.
The story of the series is not this injury. It is Eric Spoelstra's defensive game plan. And by the way, Nick Nurse did this a little bit last year. They've been able to kind of marginalize Giannis, and it's the second year in a row in the playoffs. You're like, he's not as dominant when it matters.